This video will be a brief introduction of how to navigate Canvas and where to find everything you're going to need for this semester. So from the College of the Redwoods homepage, you can select Canvas. If you're on your mobile device, you can download the Canvas app, and you'll be able to do many things through that, but not everything. So I do recommend going into Canvas. Your user ID is the same as WebAdvisor. Your password is your 6-digit birth date. And if you've already logged into Canvas before, nothing has changed. So I can log in. Once you log in, any of the courses you are registered for, they're using Canvas. And if you're learning online, they're using Canvas. Should appear there. So for me, it's this semester's Biology 3, and then I still have some last year's courses and some committees. But this is our shell with my sideways doggy. So if you launch that, we'll get us to the course homepage that I've got set to turn up with the modules. I have the module 0 at the top, which you should do first because you cannot advance to the actual lecture modules until you complete this. That goes through our orientation letter, a brief introduction of me, making sure you have the technology you need and resources on campus for helping with technical issues, how the course works. Our textbook is free, open, and online. You can download a PDF for an insanely cheap amount, like $5. And if you really want a hard copy, you can buy a hard copy, but it is not necessary. I've sent out the message twice now about your Lab Archives electronic lab notebook. That is required. It is where all of your lab assignments will be turned in through. And I will log into that once I finish going over Canvas. And then you do have an assignment due by the end of this week of introducing yourself. That way you kind of get an idea of how the discussion forums work. And I, of course, will go through and read so that I am introduced to everybody. And in that way, we know how the forums work. The syllabus is here. I have the lecture and lab schedules. I do my very best to adhere to that as much as I can. And if changes have to be made, I will make announcements to that and then update this document. All exams and quizzes will be administered through Canvas, and so the lecture exams will appear here, and they will appear in the module for that week, and you will of course get announcements letting you know that they are available, when they're due, and where to find them. Likewise, lab quizzes will show up. I do have a link to, I have to make it live, the Khan Academy. Many of you are probably aware of that, but there are additional articles, video lectures, practice questions, etc. there that can be a good additional resource for some extra practice. Links to the textbook, both the online and the PDFs of each chapter, and then some general different types of resources. The dictionary can be really helpful if you run across terms that are unfamiliar. And then there's some helpful hints for things we'll be doing later, talking about translation, which is on our molecular biology section, cell division, and in lab, we might be needing to use Excel to find trend lines. Some current events. So our week 1, you do need to go through the first module to make sure that you know how everything works. I have the weekly What's Up. Every week we'll have one of these where we tell you what's happening on each day. So Mondays and Wednesdays will be the lecture videos that you'll be responsible for watching and taking notes, and then posting a comment or a thoughtful question. There are guidelines for that. And responding to classmates. It has to be a back and forth. You can't just post and walk away, or you can, but you will only get 2 of the 5 points. There's more points for going back and responding to your classmates so that there's interaction. Thursdays will be the days that our labs are due, This week, there is a How Your Lab Notebook Works, which is very brief, but walks you through the types of things you're going to have to do and what you should look for. And then the first lab on microscopes and cells. The new virtual microscope is not as good as the previous one, but the previous one used Adobe Flash, which is no longer available. But it does still take you through what the magnifications look like on these various samples, and it gives you an idea of what things are going to look like, because we are going to have some slide images to look at later in the semester. So there are indications, and I will go to the lab notebook to show you how to look for that. Where do you need to find what you need to do? How do you know when there's something that you actually have to fill in? And then on Saturdays, there will be the lab discussion. So the questions, comments, suggestions for the week's labs. You are not encouraged to reply to classmates on that one, but you're of course always encouraged to do so. Go back to our modules. Let's go to the lab. And I do put the lab separate from the lectures just because it's not a completely separate thing, but it is where you need to actually go to your lab notebook. Everybody has received the link that they need to go to Lab Archives and register. I believe you can use it for about a week or so for free, but then your notebook will lock unless and until you pay the fee for the notebook, which is $20. You do get to keep your electronic copy of your notebook, so you'll have all of your labs and all of the comments that are on there at the end of the semester. So if I go to this, actually, let me just go to it from here. First time in, we are in the for education. I'm going to sign in. I have several notebooks because I've taught more than once online. You should just have the spring 2021 Biology 3. And so it is set up with the first one, How Your Lab Notebook Works. I'm not going to read it to you, but there's the introduction. Here tells you selfie, so that there's something that identifies you are the one that's been doing the work. If you're not comfortable actually posting your face, choose something that's going to be you. It's always your same teddy bear. It's your hand with a unique ring, something that is you, that's always with your work when a selfie is asked for. The green check mark means there's some sort of task that will tell you what you need to do, and red question mark means you need to answer questions. So there's a place to upload a selfie. So if it's not your face, whatever it is that you're choosing to represent that it's you and your work, it needs to be uploaded here, and it needs to be that every single time a selfie is asked for. Here it says to create a sketch. Click on the edit pencil, which is here, and then you can do your drawing. And then there's a place for you to practice uploading a document, because there may be times where you have to download something, complete it, and upload it, graph or something else. And so it goes through with screenshots how you would go about uploading a document. And then a red question mark means there's something for you to answer. And for every lab, there'll be a link for grading. So once you get there, You will submit your work. That gives me a notification in Lab Archives that you have completed your work, and I will go there and go into Lab Notebook and grade. That one's relatively simple. And then under Labs tab, I have the first 4 weeks there. So this week will be the scopes and cells. And again, you've got several different things to do. And at the end, click on the submit. If you don't click on submit, when I go into the course manager, it won't show up as a completed lab. So you need to be able to do that each time. All right, let's go back to my dashboard. And so everything is going to be online. Make sure you check in here. This will also be my roll call. So if you haven't participated in this, the 5 points lost is not that big of a deal, but if you don't log in and participate, that will count as not being in the class and you risk being dropped. So please make sure you take care of that. If you're having trouble with that, you need to email me through the Canvas app as soon as possible so that I know what your difficulties are, and if I can't fix them, I can lead you to someone who can. So dig in, start getting work done. I will have another intro video at the end of this coming weekend to make sure that people understand what they need to do for next week's lab. That is going to require digging into some software for graphical analysis of a virtual lab.